Hello, Stephen Andrews here, and just doing a quick catch up on what I've been reading the last few days. I've been making and posting so many of these clips to get this channel started because I do like a lot of content when I first look at a YouTube channel that I haven't read very much at all. I've just finished some things off. So this is what I've been reading. I want to talk very briefly about Alien 3, the unproduced screenplay by William Gibson, finally novelised by Cadigan. This is first edition. I bought it for my William Gibson collection, and you probably know, if you're a fan of the Alien franchise, I like the first two, the others I'm not so keen on myself, that Gibson wrote a screenplay that went unproduced, and instead the one we know went forward, obviously. And I think there's been a graphic novel of it. I'm not really reading a lot of comics these days, so this is a novelization by Gibson's mate Pat Cadigan, who is the key female cyberpunk author. Both Gibson and Cadigan are great writers, but I have to say this is not a great book. I mean, I'm not big on film tie-ins, that sort of thing anyway. I was when I was a kid. I had loads. Absolutely loved them because, of course, there were no VHS, no DVD or Blu-ray then. So, the one way to experience or re-experience film was to read a tie-in. So this is out now from Titan in hardcover, but it wasn't a great read, even by those sort of standards. It follows more the James Cameron sort of thing that he does in Aliens, and puts the focus on Hicks, played by Michael Bain. So if you're an Alien fan, you might like this, but personally, I wasn't that fussed on it, and I only bought it really for the Gibson First Editions collection. So there we go. Something I enjoyed a lot more, and you'll see behind me, is a badly framed show card for an event I did with Chris Beckett a few years ago for Chris's book America City. Now, Chris Beckett is one of Britain's leading literary science fiction writers. The kind of science fiction I like the most is literary SF by English writers, and I followed his work for about 10 years or so now, and he's a really, really nice chap and great writer. And his recent books have kind of been about contemporary politics. America City was about social media. There's things in there which would remind you of Trump, and that came out about four years ago, and great book. And it was great to meet Chris then and to do an event with him. He followed that with a book called Two Tribes, which is out in paperback a bit earlier this year, and that's about Brexit, seen from a future perspective by two characters. It also has a current contemporary narrative thread about Brexit as well. He really is pushing the envelope. He's putting the sort of things which are metaphoric normally in SF about now. He's putting them right into the forefront of the picture, which is a really brave thing to do. But more recently, he's going into an experimental phase, which I kind of thoroughly approve of. And this is his latest book, Tomorrow, which was a lovely jacket there, really beautiful, published by Corvus. Did a wonderful job there, Corvus, nice royal format hardcover. And I've just finished this, and it's a curious book, and I mean that in a good way. Short time ago, Chris published a short story collection called Spring Tide, which definitely had a more experimental feel, to my way of thinking, than other things he's written. Some of it was fabula, some of it was mainstream short stories, not SF, some was SF, but he's definitely moving into that wonderful slipstream area, which I know and love, where the book you're reading or the story you're reading feels like science fiction, but it might not be science fiction. Now, there's reviews of this on Amazon, and most people say this isn't science fiction. Well, I would disagree with them, because one of the key functions of SF is cognitive dissonance. It's to sort of shake you out of your normal way of looking at our paradigm, our worldview, and really going somewhere else with it. And it's really hard to say where this book is set, when it's set. So that's an interesting thing in itself. That, of course, doesn't make it SF. It actually makes it more like fantasy. And however, there is one moment in the book which I would regard as definitively SF, where the protagonist is lost in a jungle, and he talks about there being pterosaurs there, pterodactyls. So now, as far as I'm aware, pterodactyls are extinct and have been for probably about 70 million years as a group. So that reminded me of The Lost World. And this whole book has a Latin American, South American feel to it. It has a elliptical narrative. It flashes back and forth in time. There's some unreliable narrator stuff. It's hard to tell what's going on. It has some political commentary in it. I'm not going to say too much about it, because I think it's a book you should read for yourself. It's kind of baffling in lots of ways, but I mean that in a good way. And it reminded me initially of Christopher Priest's The Affirmation, which is his first Dream Archipelago novel, which is one of my favourite books of all time. It doesn't have the pointed, sharp quality that you get in Christopher Priest. It has a slightly floppier prose style, a straightforward prose style, very easy to read, sometimes possibly too much, so I prefer something a bit sharper. That's just a personal taste. But well done for Chris for pushing the envelope and doing something really unusual. And it is a beautiful book, as I say, so I would recommend you pick that up. And if you haven't read Chris Beckett before, I would say his best book for entry level, I would say, is a book called The Holy Machine, which is about artificial intelligence in a world which is dominated by religion, except in one culture, which is secular. Anyway, that's enough about that for now. I'll do some more videos later on. I need to get some reading done, really, because I'm falling behind. So Chris Beckett tomorrow gets a thumbs up. Alien3, the unproduced screenplay, definitely gets a thumbs down, but don't let that put you off reading something else by Pat Cadigan. Read Fools, which is in Gollan's masterwork. Great book, very terse. I love that. And Gibson, of course, absolute genius, but not really one for anybody apart from the completist and the Alien fan. Bye for now.